Okay, so I have been a little judgmental. We'll start the sermon out with that. I have been a little judgmental of people's response and decisions during this quarantine period. Let's all take a moment to see where we've been judgmental. I'm really happy I don't have a roommate because I would have been judgmental of them if they had chosen to leave the house. I've been pretty much quarantined. Thank you, Heather, for becoming a beloved consumer. I have been judgmental of people who have been drinking a lot in quarantine. I've been judgmental of people who have only watched TV during quarantine. I've been judgmental of people who haven't been making art. And guess what happened to me? I ran out of things to do yesterday. And I wanted to become intoxicated and watch TV. So all of my judgments suddenly went out the door. And all of the feelings that I had of thinking that people should do things a certain way came back on me pretty quick during this time. And so I had to let go of those judgments. I spent the first week of quarantine working on a music video, on art, and I was possessed by it, and I worked really hard. Judgmental of the spring breakers. I worked really hard on this art, and I thought, wow, everyone should just do art. But now I'm out of art. I can't make art anymore because there's a cycle to these things, right? Merlin's son says there's a place for alcohol and TV, and that's exactly right, and we're going to talk about that. So I acknowledged yesterday the feelings I had of being in this cycle of high productivity, high creativity, and I also got my period. That's another cycle that went down and brought me back around to a more lethargic state. So we're just going to talk for a minute about what it means to be in quarantine, because I think that people aren't necessarily acknowledging the deeper truths to this. We're figuring out who we are. We have full freedom in this time. Let's take a look at non-judgmentally what we've done in the last week. If you've been in shelter in place, or you've been quarantined, or you've been in social distancing, how have you spent your time? Just take a look at it and know that this is not necessarily you. This is not like how you always are. We have been traumatized in our culture to abide by schedules, to abide by presentation of self, to abide by, here I am at work, here's how I am with my friends, and here's how I dress in this occasion, here's how I dress in that occasion. I go to sleep at this time, I wake up at this time, I drink coffee at this time, I drink alcohol at this time, and we've been, the way that Aurora puts it, the word that Aurora uses is domesticated. We have been domesticated with ritual and routine. So when that ritual and routine is removed, what happens? Kind of the same thing that would happen if you let a domesticated dog or a cat out into the wilderness. They might not know how to cook for themselves. They might not know what to do. They might sleep a lot. They might wander around. They might be completely uncalibrated for a little while before they kick into their more natural way of being. Yeah, we are domesticated. So take this time to recognize that when your domestication broke and melted down and now you're just at home, your response is not necessarily indicative of your true patterns or your true habits. It's more indicative of trauma, of just like, who am I without my routine? Who am I without my job? Who am I without having to wear certain clothes? Who am I if I can just drink at any point in time? Who am I if I don't have to drink coffee? Who am I if I can stay up all night? Who am I if I don't have to sleep at all? Who am I if I sleep all the time? Who am I if I just watch TV? These are the things we get to ask ourselves. So take this time I think probably it would take about 6 weeks of calibration, truly, of just allowing yourself to be free and doing the things that you feel like doing, to sort of feel out all these different things so you can learn who you really are. The truth is that we are all unique individuals. We know that, right? We all know that we are all very unique individuals. But we've all been programmed to fit into social boxes that are very strict. Waking and sleeping hours, meal times, dressing and acting certain ways. Not that these things are completely out the window, but we are having a lot more freedom in this capacity. And I think what we will find is that there are groups of people who stay up all night. There are groups of people who don't. There are groups of people who do all kinds of things. There are groups of people who watch TV all the time. There are groups of people who make art all the time. And the majority of people sort of fall into this category of sometimes you stay up all night, sometimes you sleep all day, sometimes you stay up all day, sometimes you sleep all night, sometimes you make art, sometimes you watch TV. That's probably the majority. But I think what we need to discover is who we really are and what we really want to do, and we have to listen to ourselves. If you haven't had depression, you don't really know how to deal with this, because depression is self-quarantine. Depression is, nope, you're not participating in that. You're not participating in your social life anymore. You're not participating in your job anymore. You're going to lay here and just feel feelings. You can't even shower because you just have to feel these feelings. That's what depression is. If you haven't experienced depression, quarantine is pretty much like that. You have to just be in your house, feeling your feelings. If you're not used to that, holy shit, of course you're going to grab a bottle. Of course you're going to start smoking weed incessantly. Whatever it is that you do to get your thoughts away from yourself, because you don't want to think them. You don't know how to think them. They're scary. They're big. They're hard. They're confusing. You don't have the answers. That's okay. Take this time to acknowledge where you are using crutches. For instance, are you on your phone all day? Are you watching TV all day? Are you drinking too much? Are you using other drugs too much? Are you trying to escape the reality that you're in? Are you trying to pass the time because you don't know what else to do with it? Are you online shopping? Yesterday I was like, I want to buy something. I just want to buy something. And I was like, where is this feeling coming from? I don't even have anything I want to buy. Like, it's such a weird feeling for me to have. Just like, I want the thrill of purchasing something. And I was like, I'm literally just bored. I didn't buy anything. I just said, wow, I'm bored. So I put on a record and I danced around and I read a book. Be grateful for the things you have in your space. Take this time to be grateful. Look around, say, wow, I have all these books. I have all these movies. I have access to the internet. I have pets. I have food I can cook. I have this space I can clean. I have these thoughts I can explore. All of these things are here for you to take another look at. Should you feel bad if you get drunk in the middle of the day? No. We're free. We're free. We can do whatever we want. We're no longer domesticated. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to spend your time with? If you want to get drunk, okay. Should you get drunk again in the evening? Should you get drunk again the next day? Probably not. Probably not. Be careful of your consumption. Make sure you're eating enough, drinking enough water. Make sure you're not doing too many drugs or relying on them as an escape. But also, have a party on the middle of Tuesday morning if you want. What's your natural schedule like? What do you really just want to do? Do whatever you want. Break free from society. Break free from the constraints. Break free from the feelings you have of being limited in your reality of having to go to work every day, of having to have all these social obligations, of whatever your obligations were that you no longer have. Recognize that you now are free in those ways. There are times where, yeah, we're all worried. Some of us are worried about money. Some of us are worried about our friends and family. Some of us are worried about our health. But if those things if you can try not to worry about them while still keeping a general eye on them, keep a general eye on the news. Keep a general eye on your finances. Keep a general eye on these things. But ultimately, it's really, 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 really navigate your energy right now. It's almost like a test. Are the humans ready to be free? And we have to prove that we are. We have to prove that we have enough intelligence, autonomy, and creativity to get ourselves into a state of higher vibrational reality rather than waiting for our false leaders to keep leading us astray. They're doing a bad job. They've always done a bad job. We just didn't know it. And now we know it. Now that your domestication has been broken, now that you are free, how do you use this energy? Do you want to go back to the way that things were? Or can you imagine a better world? If meditation isn't natural to you, or even if it is, I want to urge you. I'm a very material person. I was raised in a very material way, and I even personally have trouble believing in the power of prayer, believing in the power of meditation, except that it has proven time and time and time again in my life to create miracles. Absolute miracles. So I urge you, please meditate. What does that mean? That means relax your body, do it on purpose, have intention to sit down and imagine the best world you can imagine. What if housing was free? What if you were paid to do whatever you wanted to do? What if you could do whatever you want? What does your dream life look like? Think about the potential that we're in right now in this time to transform greed-based society into a higher society which benefits everyone, including yourself. What does that look like? Take time to sit down and think about that. Meditate on it. Relax your energy and raise your vibration. Figure out how to have fun. Turn off your phone for a couple hours a day at least. If you're on your phone, I'm talking to myself right now, if you're on your phone all day long, find a couple hours at least to turn it off and just take a step away. Food should be free. You're right. Gardening, you should get paid to garden. You should get money to garden. So when we're talking about thriving during quarantine, we're talking about letting yourself do what you want to do, really feeling into your natural schedules, really feeling into what you want to actually do in every given moment. And also then rewriting it so that you're happy and comfortable and thriving. If you're feeling like garbage, watching TV all day, drinking all day, on your phone all day, whatever your crutch is, then acknowledge that and do what you can to break that habit and mix it up. Go dance in your living room. Go clean your kitchen. Go do a handstand carefully. Do some yoga on your phone. Do some jumping jacks. Try spinning around for 30 seconds. Do it like we're free. Like do crazy stuff that you would normally never do. Try. Maybe you like it.